21st Century Entrepreneurship with Martin Piskarik.
I analyzed almost 60,000 meta campaigns across close to 1,000 advertisers, looking for patterns that were going to emerge. What was the hidden secret footprint that the successful campaigns had that the unsuccessful ones didn't? Because it's smart marketers, it's smart ideas, and often a very similar strategy. And I found it was unique. It wasn't that we needed to find more data. It wasn't that, there was more training that needed to happen. It was about knowing which signals are going to trigger alignment to what your strategy was doing and the results you were trying to get. That was a big aha moment for me because, Wicked Reports, I've been the CEO for over a decade. And we've tried we always thought we needed better attribution models and we prided ourselves on accuracy. And that really is just a foundational piece you have to have. But that didn't give the real answer, the business outcome that a marketer needed from us. What they needed was a direction of, should I spend more money here? Should I scale this advertising? Should I kill this ad spend? Or should I just chill out and let it relax and worry about something else? I created a framework called Scale, Chill, Kill. It was basically like you can't just have one target metric that you're trying to hit, because you either hit it or you don't each day, and then that creates, I'm not hitting the target today, and then you got to go look at all the data, and then you may only have 5 minutes and you interpret it wrong, or you're in a rush, or you get in a panic because maybe it was Sunday and the internet traffic was slow that day and your numbers look bad. You need to have methodical discipline, alignment to your goals. There was a lot there that I uncovered when I was just trying to find this magic attribution process. I realized a lot of it was human psychology, or we wanted a chill zone where the marketers could just say, okay, this is doing good. I can leave my budget as is here. I'm doing fine. And so that really was an eye-opener. And then it was okay, how do we instruct them on how to give us the numbers that mean chill? And that opened up a whole can of worms. I don't know if you know that expression over there, can of worms. That it depends on what you're trying to do, determines how you should measure your results. There's no one magic attribution model. Because people try, a long time we try, which attribution model should everyone use? Depends on what you're trying to do. And you got to match your intention to your measurement strategy. And then people say, well, I don't have a measurement strategy. Well, you don't need one. We have that all figured out. We spent 10 years figuring it out. It wasn't like we have this secret black box. You can go in and do your own measuring yourself, or you can just tell us what you're trying to do and we'll measure it for you and tell you when you need to take action. Took a lot of trial and error because we tried training on all the different ways to attribute, advanced attribution models, and all this gory math stuff that only attribution people care about. The marketers really only care about as much as it's going to help them make more money. Otherwise, why would they care? It's become more important now in the age of AI. Now, particularly the Meta Advantage campaigns are using AI. And so I did a research on I had my data team dump all this data because I had a theory which proved out that they're turning a lot of things into retargeting. So you basically they're reporting these great results, like 20% more conversions, and you don't have to do any work. And that's because the AI, it's actually smart, but it's hired to do a job, which is get you more conversions. And it researches all your conversions and says, wow, this pocket of people really seem to convert better. And who it is people that have already bought from you before, or people that are already very aware of your brand and are what we call bottom of the funnel. They're already they know about you, they're in the market, and they're actively looking at who they're going to purchase from. And so the AIs concentrate on those people because their job is find more sales. So then for the analysis and the research, I went in and looked at what's the cost to acquire a customer based on the very first click. How did these campaigns do, which is the initial awareness of a campaign, of a brand, First click attribution means what's the very first time someone clicked and went to your brand, which is the hardest click to get. It's the ones that are least look the worst in terms of performance, but they're most important. So if you're not getting new people into your funnel, then it's going to dry out and you're going to stagnate. And what we're seeing right now with e-commerce is everyone's rushed to AI, which it is helpful for retargeting and bottom of the funnel, but it's not good at top of the funnel. So I created a new thing. How are we going to signal and tell Meta that, hey, you need to look over here? So now what we do, we have a product called Signal. This is a little bit of a sales pitch, but I'll just explain what we're trying to do. You need to do this no matter what. So I'm just telling you how we do it. But you need to be able to tell Meta's AI, I want to find new customers, not the same customers I already have. And so the way you do that is you have to signal to Meta when a new customer has bought and what they've bought. And you have to create a campaign and optimize and say, hey, Meta, I only want you to focus on this signal. And that signal, which we create for people, or you can create on your own, is a custom event which says, hey, when people buy, only the new people that buy this particular product. And then so what happens is then you can just create ad creative for that product that would resonate with someone new, because the new versus repeat buyers act very differently in anything. And then the signal keeps reinforcing to Meta's AI, oh, okay, this is the type of thing you want. And then it figures out, oh, look, they've never bought from the company before. And it kind of segments, it learns eventually, usually, not always. And then it will actually drive more new customer acquisition. But it's become more complex. If you don't do something like that, you're going to find more retargeting and more just stagnation in your meta because you're not finding new people if you rely on just the AI, particularly AI shopping campaigns. The idea behind the 5 Forces framework was actually based on what I had learned in a spiritual practice around reality creation, which is that enlightenment is taking the next best step. And it always rung true to me and was an epiphany to me to be like, yeah, you may not have your whole life figured out, but you always do. From wherever you are, you just try to take the next best step with the information you have and the skills you have and the situation presenting itself. And so with marketing attribution, I was like, the real problem wasn't the platform or the pixels, the team, it was the measurement strategy. And then that parallel with life, when you're trying to, achieve any goal, there's going to be, you may not have a strategy, but you're going to do a lot better if you have one. This 5 Forces framework has 5 forces. The first force being intention, which is similar in life planning to what's your goal. And so that, for me, intention is what are you trying to do? And so in marketing, it could be I'm trying to get new leads that eventually buy. I'm trying to find cold traffic that becomes a new customer. I'm trying to acquire new customers. In life, your intention could be, I want to buy a new home. The second force is expectation. Now, this is, you think about, so immediately when you create a goal that I want to buy new customers in marketing, well, there's expectations behind that. I think I need to buy them at a certain price so I don't go broke. There's also expectations of how you think you're going to get there. And then you have to get those on the table to be aligned as a marketing team. For example, how are we going to measure it? Because if you say I want to acquire new customers, and then after 2 days you're measuring your progress, you're probably not getting that far because it might take like 3 weeks to convert a new customer. And so you have to align, hey, we're going to measure based on every 3 weeks. We're going to use this platform. It's how we're going to keep score. Same thing in life, expectations get in the way because, if in the universe, if you have an intention, there's multiple paths to get you there. But if you've decided, I'm only going to get there because of this one way, you've closed yourself off to other ways you can get there. You don't have alignment with your intention and how the universe thinks it's going to fulfill it. So, man, I didn't realize how much this parallels this until I'm talking about it. So then the next step, you take some action. You got to actually then take action. So I want to buy a home, but you could say, I'm only going to be able to buy a home until I get this new job. And maybe right around the corner was the perfect home, but your expectation blocked it because you only wanted it once you got this other job because you had decided that was the path. But instead, if you just take action towards getting the home, it could be see what I qualify for as a mortgage. Take a second, there's all the other actions you could do. In marketing, that action is you're going to launch the campaign now that you've been aligned on how you're going to measure it and what you're trying to accomplish. The fourth step of the 5 forces is the outcome. That's when you actually take the first score of how you're doing and compare it against your intention and what your expectation were. So if I'm trying to buy customers and I have a chill zone between $50 and $60, it means I'm going to keep spending if it's between $50 and $60. If it's above 60, that's bad. I have to do something. If it's below 50, that's great. I want to scale and spend more. In reality creation, it's your reaction to it because it may be, well, I tried to get my home. The first lender turned me down and then I'm all upset about it. Well, maybe that lender, for reasons unknown to you, is going to turn out to be a predatory lender. Maybe all sorts of things, that could have been, that doesn't mean you're not going to get your intention. It was just the initial outcome. It means you have to adjust your actions or you have to clear your expectations up. That's the way it is in life. That's the way it is in marketing attribution. You either took a wrong action with your campaign or you measured it too soon or not correctly. You had a false expectation, which your reaction to the outcome meant that you maybe had a great idea. You just had a bad reaction because you were taking a 2-day time window to profit and you had a bad expectation. And then the final step is optimization. So that's a framework to diagnose and improve your performance. In marketing, we have all these secondary metrics like conversion rate, click-through rate, view time, time to drop off, things that if you're not reaching your primary intentions goal, the secondary stats then help you. Because if you have a measurement strategy, you know how long to measure, what the outcome is. If you don't you already should know ahead of time based on the outcome whether that's good or bad news. You don't want to be emotionally pinballing around each day when you look at your stats. And then based on the secondary stats, it guides you to what you have to do. No different than in life. You get these, so you didn't get the house after the first time, well, then you got to optimize. You got to look for lenders that more suited to maybe there's something around, you're a military veteran, or you have some ethnicity that could get you, or family member could co-sign, or maybe you just got to rent for a while. It's just not on the cards, but there's steps you got to take. And then you go back and revisit, was my intention clear? Did I have any expectations in the way? Am I taking the right actions? The outcome is just feedback, not the end of the world. There's feedback on how the first 3 steps went, and then I tune based on the feedback. I have 3 kids between 15 and 8. And on July 4th, Independence Day, for the first time, me and my wife were on our friend's boat we were throwing a big July 4th party for about 60 people were coming over. And so we decided to pop out on our friend's boat for an hour. I live in Marblehead, Massachusetts, this beautiful coastal town. We're out on our friend's boat for an hour, and we realized for the first time ever, our 15, 13, and 8-year-olds were all working, making money, and we weren't. It was a really fun thing. Our 8 and 13-year-old had a lemonade stand. The revolution, there's the birthplace of the U.S. Navy is our town. And so there's a lot of historical July 4th stuff, tourist town at that time. So they set up a lemonade stand by the fort where everyone's going to go. And they made like $300 in like 2.5 hours selling lemonade. And then our older one was at her job that she had found on her own at a clothing store downtown. So it was kind of a fun moment. We said, okay, look at them all out earning money on their own. And they were initiative to go do that. Because, sometimes we'll always be honest with them about money too. Sometimes like, hey, can we go do this? We'll be like, well, we need to work. That's how we get to take the trips. I mean, so do you like going on those trips? Then you need to let us work. We don't try to shield them from the way the world works, I guess. I just feel like that's important for them to know, like, not everything. They're young, but try to be transparent with them as much as we can. Seems to be working out. So I've been doing this for 25,000 hours, I calculated, and I think it's more. So I guess that makes me technically an expert in marketing attribution. And, everyone just thought us and our competitors always were just trying to build our spreadsheet online is better than yours. And I've tried, trainings, we had all sorts of fancy ways of trying to get people the value, because the potential of marketing attribution was great. But the problem is that people were mining, looking for data that maybe they didn't have, such as what drove new customers versus repeat, or they didn't know what drove cold traffic versus warm. So there was a data accuracy problem. But then after the data accuracy problem, then it was like, you need expertise. Which attribution model should I use? Because really you should be using different ones and changing your date ranges and looking at different trends. And out of our 200 columns, you should only be looking at 10 for any specific use case. But that's a whole separate, then we had all kinds of fancy ways to do that easy. We're like, pick this template for this reason, pick this template for this one. And it works, but it's just a pain in the ass. It's like time you don't have. And as a marketer where you're more creative and you value the data, but you don't want to be a data person all day. The people that are the data people all day, we already have those customers for like 3 to 5 years already. They love us. But the bigger opportunity, but the bigger challenge is the creative people that need this data. They need it to win, but they don't want to spend the time to do it because it's just not fun for them. That's fine. Like, it's fun for me to look at a bunch of data. It's not fun for the creatives. And so it wasn't a fancy metric. It wasn't this new process. It wasn't the specific process. It was, how do we make this process time efficient and valuable? Because if we analyze everything and then you've got to read paragraphs and paragraphs of analysis, that's terrible also. So what we decided to do is create a process and then automate it with AI. And that's when AI was useful. We gave AI guardrails so that we've already almost like a traffic cop. We said, oh, okay, we already know the general premise of what's going on from all our data formulas. Now give it to the AI to translate it and give it to the person in 3 to 5 bullets per campaign. 1 summary sentence, 3 bullets on traffic, on creative, and on budget, how they're doing, and then an action statement. And that was the big unlock for us, was that pain of the time, because you have to really get the benefit of marketing attribution, you probably have to spend close to 2 hours a day if you were going to get all the value. And like, no one has 2 hours a day to do anything. So now you can just set up, tell us what you want to do, give us your marketing parameters, and then our AI will run every morning and just tell you what to do based on the 5 forces framework that I talked about, which is my life's work in attribution. So I am an expert in it. And so I looked at it, and just in the past 2 weeks, I was finding like, this is better than me. It's way faster than me, and it doesn't make a mistake. Because if I'm in there in a hurry and I'm looking at a grid of data, I might not have picked the right time frame. I might not slice through all the models because I'm trying to interpret. Humans get lazy, take shortcuts, and that kills you if you're doing data analysis. So it protects you against yourself, and it always gives you the next best step to take for every campaign. and backs it up. It's not a black box. It backs it up with evidence. It literally is a thing that says evidence, and it gives you why. It says because your click to conversion rate is up 30%. It's currently 2.4%, whatever it is. So if you care, which some people do, it builds trust because we're telling you why. It's not just trust this AI black box. The AI black box is really my brain and my product manager. 8 months we spent building it, and now we're finally comfortable telling people because we can get in there and we're always happy. We're all happy looking at it. Wow, this is better than we would have done. It's the guardrails put on there. So this is like going to eliminate the big thing for marketers. I think is it's gonna you have a goal in our AI and analysis framework, our measurement strategy. We're giving you the measurement strategy that aligns to your marketing strategy. So you'll measure it correctly, and you won't miss opportunities where you should be scaling, and you won't waste ad spend on things that are failing or things that are buying customers you already have that you don't need to pay for, which is a big concern in the AI age of the platforms. If you're an e-commerce marketer or brand or digital agency spending at least $20,000 a month on marketing, then I highly suggest Wicked Reports because we'll automate everything I talked about here. Everything's automated for you. If you're not that level or you're doing a different type of marketing, the 5 Forces are available at 5forces.com through a course, and I'll give Martin a coupon code, Martin P. It will take $700 off the course. So Wicked Reports available at wickedreports.com, or if you're just interested in the framework, 5forces.com, either with the number 5 or spell out 5, either way. And for the entrepreneurs or anyone interested in personal development, reach out to me on LinkedIn, just my name, Scott Desgrosseilliers, under Wicked Reports. There's not many people with my long last name. You'll be able to find me.
21st Century Entrepreneurship with Martin Piskarik.
Imagine a space where triumphs, trials, and tales of entrepreneurship come alive. Welcome to the 21st Century Entrepreneurship Podcast, a gold awarded journey hosted by Martin Piskarik, connecting with listeners in 95 countries and ranking in the top 0.5% of all podcasts. Join our exclusive community, elevate your perspective, and embark on the path to success.